Just when we had a day.
If we could start the meeting with the roll call, or pledge of allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Do we know if anybody's online?
Don't know. I'll find out.
Barr,
Here.
Giovanini,
Here.
Eckhoff,
Here.
Callis, Lee,
Here.
Hicks, Bradshaw,
Here.
Clark,
Here.
Gaber,
Here.
Willie.
Here. There's Bill.
Okay.
Thank you.
That'd be done.
Might want to take a minute to look over the consent agenda. There has been a amendment to that on the last item, the Corpus Christi Parade.
I'll just make a quick comment on that. Last year, if you recall, that parade permit came in and there was a discrepancy. One page stated that they were going to use one lane and the other page stated they were going to use all lanes. And I think that was used as a template again this year. So that's been amended. The safest thing for them to do is use both lanes for that short parade.
Any questions?
I'll motion approval of the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Motion by Kelly, seconded by Jamie. Roll call, please.
Barr,
Yes.
Giovanini,
Yes.
Eckhoff,
Yes.
Callis,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Gaber,
Yes.
Willie.
Yes.
Thank you. We're going to move into a public hearing on the budget for 2023, 2024.
Yeah, so the highlights on the 2023-2024 budget, the total revenues right now are projected to be $7,805,000 with total expenditures of $8,563,840. But that should be tempered if you look at 2023 or 2022-2023. The total revenues then were $8,825,000 and the expenditures were $7,751,000. The difference there is the ARPA money of $781,400. It came in as a revenue last year. We haven't spent that, and it was placed in the depreciation account this year. And so if you were to take that out, since it wasn't actually a revenue this year, our expenditures are $7,782,000, which are under the revenues. Some of the quick highlights of the budget this year: a few pieces of equipment, some mowers, a gator. The airport has a $750,000 programmed project going on to replace redo the entry road coming in, and depending on how much money is left, some work around one of the taxi lanes. And then the sewer project separation on the south side, phase 1 and 2, we'll see about in the sewer plant about $5 million in expenses this year through projects. Otherwise, we have moved golf course. That projection, we've worked hard to try and eliminate some of the spending there and increase some revenues. And we hope with a small subsidy from parks this year that $30,000 that we will be at a break-even point there this year. So. Otherwise, staffing continues to be a concern to try and get some positions filled. I know the fire department has it. And one of the other main projects we're looking at is potentially a TIF, reboundary, look at reboundary the TIF. a study maybe on what to do with the area down by the river on Mill Street, potentially a park. That why we've been acquiring some property down there. And then also a substation for an ambulance out west. And there's still lots of work to be done on that. We're still in talks with OSF and still working on, we did get $500,000 in funding for that from a legislative grant. So still lots of work to do on that. But if anyone has any other questions or comments on the budget.
I think you all know that we've had many nights of meetings, discussions with all the departments. Being a public hearing, I'm not sure there's going to be any public comment to go with this, but we'll, with no other questions, we will proceed with the budget and move on to the regular agenda.
Jim has survived his first budget.
We still have
So far.
I was going to say we still have a committee meeting this week. So.
Yeah. One more chance to put the fire to the boots. Okay. On the regular agenda, item A is United Way summer kickoff. I see Howard is here to give us an update.
I am. Usually we do an end of summer bash, and this year we talked with Liz and went over when the city was doing Rockin' the Rivers and things like that. And we decided we should do a kickoff summer bash. And we'd like to propose to do it the 26th of May, which is National Road Trip Day. So we want to see if we can get Pontiac RV in on sponsoring it and things like that. We'd like to change it a little bit this year and have it on Plum Street between Howard and Madison. So we could use Bob and Ringo's extra rooms to store alcohol and the things that we need, so it would be the alley. Dan Rutherford said it was okay, and it's his birthday, so we have to wish him happy birthday that day while we're doing it. The Dance Center said it would be okay. First Financial said it would be okay. And of course, Bob and Ringo said it would be okay. And we've talked with Chris about blocking off the spaces and everything. So we'd like to move it to that location, and everything else will be the same. Everybody will be ID'd, everybody will be wristband. The band is the Brat Pack, and they've played before for the city for the Rockin' the River. And we decided that's the band we'd go with.
What's the hours?
The band starts setting up at 3, but the hours would be 7 to 9:30 or 10.
They're a very fun band if nobody's ever heard them before.
I didn't hear you.
I said they are a very fun band if you haven't
Oh,
heard
are
them
they?
before.
Good.
80s.
Do we have to have a motion to approve that concept, or is that, are you just here to give us information?
I think we need a motion to approve it.
I
That's
think we
what's
do,
happened
yes.
before, yeah.
Okay. I'll motion that we allow.
Second.
Motion by Kelly, seconded by Brian, to authorize the summer kickoff. Roll call, please.
Giovanini?
Yes.
Eckhoff?
Yes.
Callis?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Bradshaw?
Yes.
Clark? Yes. Gaber?
Yes.
Willie?
Yes.
Barr?
Yes.
Super, way to go. Okay, we'll have some fun. That's also the big kickoff for the Route 66.
Yeah, National Road Trip Day. So staff will be in
Yeah, we'll be
communication with
really
each other,
working
and
hard. Yep.
it'll be a group event.
Okay. Now we have the Monarch Pledge. I think Mary's got some highlights for us there.
Good evening. Last week in our budget meeting, I briefly mentioned some of the new initiatives we're working on downtown. But tonight I wanted to ask for your support specifically in signing the Mayor's Monarch Pledge. Through conversations at committee meetings for downtown Pontiac and with several Pontiac residents and business owners, they brought up some concerns with the way downtown was perceived, the landscaping in particular, and ways that we could get the community to be more involved in that upkeep. And what we've come up with, and we've worked with Chris to make sure that this is a feasible idea, and we are moving forward with it, is to take 3 of those downtown planted flower beds and support native pollinator plants to support native pollinators like our state butterfly, our state insect, the monarch butterfly. With that, we will be part of the Route 66 Monarch Flyway. The monarch's natural migration pattern actually follows Route 66 through Illinois. So the state has, several state agencies have sort of capitalized on that and created this flyway to help with the preservation of the butterflies that way. And we already have commitments from community members for 2 of those 3 areas that they will take care of the upkeep of them throughout the summer months, and they are working to secure someone to take care of the 3rd. So as part of that, we will also be getting signage free of charge to place in those flower beds to help educate the community and visitors about the importance of our pollinators. And the Mayor's Monarch Pledge sort of takes it to the next level. The Mayor's Monarch Pledge is administered through the National Wildlife Federation, and it is a commitment from mayors across North America to take action to help save the monarch butterfly. By planting these beds, by educating the community and getting the community involved, we're already fulfilling the requirements to sign that pledge. But signing that pledge gets us international recognition as a supportive community for monarchs and gives us access to more resources to help educate our community and move this project forward. So I'm asking for your support tonight to sign the Mayor's Monarch Pledge.
I think it's a great idea. The monarchs have been missing or greatly shrunk over the last decades or 2, and I'm all in favor of it. So I guess we just need a motion to approve the memoranda, or the
Mayor's pledge.
Mayor's pledge, yeah.
I so move.
Okay, motion by John, seconded by Jason. Roll call, please.
Eckhoff,
Yes.
Callis,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Gaver,
Yes.
Willie,
Yes.
Barr,
Yes.
Jovenini.
Yes.
I don't know how many council members we have now that we had back when we had the Butterfly Park. Remember that?
Not me.
I remember that. Yeah.
I remember
It
the
was
park.
west of the pavilion and the Thomaston State Park.
It's been a
That
while.
was neat.
It's been a while.
How many of us in this room mounted a monarch butterfly for John Hayes in biology class?
Not for him, but I did in high school normal. Yeah.
That tells my age.
We lived, about 52 years ago, we lived in a community in California, the name of Pacific Grove.
Yeah.
And in the fall, when the monarchs were migrating, they had, it was a big celebration in Pacific Grove. And all these little kids parading, dressed up as monarch butterflies.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Council.
Thanks, Mary. Appreciate your
Had that
efforts
years
there.
ago, but that's what it was.
Item C and item H are the same, so we're going to wait on that to get to item H. So item D is the street maintenance program. I think Brian's going to come up and give us some highlights there.
As we talked a couple times in infrastructure committees, you can see here the list of streets that we narrowed down to based on our budget and the needs and the condition of these streets. There's been a couple additions here. Both of these are in your packet, and we would ask for permission, or I guess approval, of these streets so we could get started on our design and get those moving forward towards construction for this year.
Any questions for Brian?
These are what we all talked about.
Yes, yeah, everything that we covered in different meetings. From spraying to aggregate everything.
I'm fine. Approve.
Motion by Mike Barr, seconded by Maggie Clark. Roll call, please.
Callis,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Gaber,
Yes.
Willie,
Yes.
Barr,
Yes.
Giovanini,
Yes.
Eckhoff.
Yes.
Thank you. Moving on for the MFT maintenance.
As part of the way to pay for these streets, our motor fuel tax has been utilized every year. This resolution would authorize $375,000 in motor fuel tax money to be utilized for the maintenance of those streets, and would request approval so we can get this to IDOT for their approval.
So moved.
Everybody's in favor of this program. Motion by Kelly, seconded by Brian. Roll call, please.
Lee,
Yes.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Gaber,
Yes.
Willie,
Yes.
Barr,
Yes.
Giovanini,
Yes.
Eckhoff.
Yes.
Callis.
Yes.
And then moving right along into Southside Sewer separation.
A large part of the plant now is done, and we're kind of moving to the outside collection system. And on last Monday, we opened our bids for Phase 1 of the Southside Sewer separation. H.J. Upland Company was the low bidder for that at just over $1,039,000. We would recommend, based on these numbers, that we would award that bid to H.J. Upland Company.
I'd so move.
Motion by Bill
second.
Callis, seconded by Jason.
Did we have a budgeted idea?
The engineer's estimate was a little over 1.3 million.
Okay.
So this is a good number for this phase.
All right.
Made me feel better, that's for sure.
Yeah, no doubt.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Clark.
Yes.
Gaber.
Yes.
Willie,
Yes.
Barr,
Yes.
Giovanini,
Yes.
Eckhoff.
Yes.
Callis.
Yes.
Lee.
Yes.
Okay, moving into another proposal for sewer extension.
So the Route 116 or Ewing Drive sewer extension, as we've talked about in a couple different meetings, we do have Chamlin working on that design. And for them to complete their design, we need to complete a soil boring for the location of the lift station. Before you is a proposal from Midwest Testing Services that would provide that soil boring for that lift station. In addition, we requested them to add 2 soil borings, which could be used for a west side substation for the building. So that would be done, rather than 2 mobilizations, we could get that done at one time. So you can see here their proposal for $7,780 for those 3 soil borings, soil reports, and the necessary information to get to Chamlin to complete their design on that lift station. I would recommend that we approve this proposal.
Kind of like step 2 and keep counting.
Yes.
This is where we got a couple of grants pending too. We're looking at probably a little longer period to get to there, but this is getting us started.
I'll motion acceptance of the proposal.
I'll
Motion
second.
by Kelly, seconded by Bill Callis. Roll call, please.
Clark,
Yes.
Gaber,
Yes.
Willie,
Yes.
Barr,
Yes.
Giovanini,
Yes.
Eckhoff.
Yes.
Callis.
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Bradshaw.
Yes.
Thank you. Thanks, Brian. Moving on to item H, Fire Protection Services, Pontiac Rural Fire District.
Yeah, so this fire protection services agreement is the current agreement that we have expired, and it's been needing to be renewed with the addition of the ambulance service. We've had some discussions on the rates that the rural district levies. And so we've come to an agreement that right now they're able to levy by statute up to 20 cents per $100. They're not there. And so our agreement, really the main change in this agreement was to have them agree to take all the necessary steps to get to 20 cents. And in addition, their payment to us would increase to 16 cents of their EAV, unless, and then the only change there would be if we no longer provide ambulance services, then it would drop down to 13 cents. I think it's 13. Otherwise, everything else is pretty much the same as it has been in the past with the rural district. We would still provide the services, and they assist with vehicles, and they are still 1/10 owner of the station.
Any questions on this proposal, or ordinance, I should say? Bring that. Have a motion. Approve. Brian, motion. Mike, second. Roll call, please.
Gaber,
Yes.
Willie,
Yes.
Barr,
Yes.
Giovanini,
Yes.
Echo.
Yes.
Collis.
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Clark.
Yes.
Moving on, calls for mayor's comments. Actually, I think I have quite a few, but one thing I'd like to say is I really send out our sympathies to folks over in Fairbury, plus two of the youngest and brightest students past weekend. Real tragedy, and you know the whole town is feeling the effects. I did want to say that as the sewer water treatment plant is wrapping up and planned open houses and different things, I think Jake is going to set up a tour for the council to, prior to that, to take a walk through. So he'll be contacting us for possible dates. I'll check it out and know what we spent several dollars on. That's, I think, a really good thing to keep in mind. Yeah. I think that pretty much covers everything I need to talk about. Have a finance committee meeting, and be some highlights from that we'll discuss too. So, city council comments. Full of it tonight, huh? Okay. It's the big audience that's getting you, right?
You wore us down last week.
Okay, all right. Yeah, all right. City administrator comment.
The only thing I really have is we'll be looking at, I think right now, March 27th, which is Monday, 6 p.m. as for a special meeting to approve the budget.
Talk about it. Metro deal.
Oh, that's right, yep. We also, Alan and I and staff have been in pretty constant communications with, right now we have two companies, Metro Communications, which will be doing business here as Connexus, is a fiber optic internet service provider. They provided plans to do boring and install fiber throughout the city. In some talks with some other communities, our concerns are ordinances didn't really address very well an exact specified measure for these right-of-way borings to make sure that our residents and the city were in the best position, should, there's going to be a number of boring companies in town, should there be any cracks to sidewalks, ruts, and to make sure that we're in the best position to recover any kind of damages and make sure those are fixed. So we've been in some conversations with Metro Communications as they're looking to be the first ones that are probably going to be working in. We've discussed an insurance bond of $20,000 that replenishes should it be drawn upon. In addition, they are going to provide us with insurance naming the city as an additional insured, as well as all of their subcontractors as well, and provide us a list of who they are and their contacts, and then a schedule that we'll be getting with staff. And they will be keeping the staff up to date on where they're going to be. Our main concern with that was if we have a number of these companies in town at one time, people aren't going to know whether it's Metro or Pavlov that's where they're doing the work. So just making sure. And they've been pretty receptive to our thoughts and our ideas. We have I've talked with some other communities that have said in these large projects, they've gone pretty well for them. So, however, we all agreed, us and Metro, that things happen, that we'll provide them a map of our sewer lines, and, obviously they'll Julie everything else. But the one unknown is the service lines coming from the houses. And they indicated that they plan to keep their insurance bond for a year after the project's over, because it may take a little time should something happen, whether it's downward pressure from a boring or if it's boring right into a line, that sometimes it takes a while for that to be noticed. So, Alan, do you have anything else?
And one of the things we're requiring as far as their commitment on their permit application, their bond, and they're posting basically a cash type of bond, so we would have to notify them if there's a claim on it, and they agree to replenish it as necessary. We wanted a higher bond, but they agreed to 20 and replenish it if we use it. But we required that they agree to hold the city, agents, property owners, and residents harmless, because originally it was just city. And that would affect us for city streets, but would not give any protection to the property owners for the sewer lines. And I had an incident at our office a few years ago where somebody was boring, and they did go right through our sewer service line, right in the middle. It took us 6 months before we had trouble. But they center punched it. Epples fixed it, and I've got pictures. They went right through the middle of a 4-inch line. And with our low volume at the office, it took 6 months. So I've been talking to them, say, hey, I don't want our residents to have to deal with the problem I dealt with. And they're very receptive. They understand that. So I think, it's easy for them to make the promises, and we've got to keep on them to make sure they follow through with that. But I don't see any reason that, we don't allow them to do the work. The work's been done in the past by Serban and others, really with very little city notice or involvement. Basically, they just show up and start working. And here, it's going to be citywide, so it's a real positive to the community. They may have 2 fiber options going by your house for video, phone, internet, whatever you're going to get. So it gives people that opportunity. A little competition is good. It'll be competition for MediaCom, competition between themselves, and it should be a positive for the community once it's installed. But it's going to be an inconvenience for the community going through that process. It always is.
One last thing I would say, just as a reminder, a few years back, statute changed from the old cable TV franchise, and which now an entity that's going to provide video, cable, and video service, they now file with the ICC, the Interstate Commerce Commission, and then that they get authorization from the state then to include a community in their service footprint, which then gives them the authority to be in the right of way pending agreeing and complying with all the reasonable permits that a city and a municipality may have upon them. In addition to that, that statute also then authorizes the community to impose a fee of what you charge, up to 5% of, or whatever you charged your incumbent franchise. Ours would be MediaCom, which is 5%. So we'll be coming back here soon with an ordinance to ask the imposition of that 5% fee on video cable services for any other companies that are offering those services, the first being Metro. So.
And that also points to, we just can be reasonable in our demands on what they do because of the state and federal intervention, they basically are superior to us. So we can only, our formula for the bond would have been a lot more money, but, we just can't do that unilaterally with Illinois Commerce Commission and the feds. So we have to be reasonable. The way it's worked with Metro, I hope it works the same way with Pavlov, is that we've just sat down and negotiated and talked about things that we think are important. And once we get Metro done, we're probably gonna look for Pavlov to do something extremely similar, because, we'll have a template to follow.
It's my understanding that Metro will subcontract out all of their boring and fiber laying services, and Pavlov says that they house their own. They everything that they do like that is in house.
So maybe it'll say Pavlov on their boring
Maybe.
machine, where when you see these other borers, you have no idea who they're working for because they're all subcontract. Occasionally, there's
There's going to be a
Metro or
lot
some
in
of the
town, and so
supervisors.
there will be some issues, I'm sure. So
Yeah, no, I mean, it is a given, they will hit something. I mean, they've gone through that with boring, it's gonna happen. And the question's gonna be how well that's addressed when it happens.
Is that beginning?
So as they're going through the permit phase, both of them wanted to be starting within the second quarter of the year from the calendar year, so soon.
Pretty incredible. There's two companies that are going to come in here and spend the money to do this.
It's huge,
know.
I mean,
It's
it's
nuts.
unbelievable, I had that discussion with the Metro person, it's like, it's hard to believe the business here is enough to justify two companies making that kind of infrastructure. It's huge.
Yeah.
Let's hope the competition brings down the internet prices.
Now, you saw the little bit of boring we're doing out tonight, you just approved.
Yeah. Right.
And we can be assured of one thing, when they start boring, we'll start getting phone calls.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So we want those calls to come to Dave's office so we can map them and follow up. Because that's the only way, if the community doesn't know that it's a situation where we've got somebody responsible for that and we will help them utilize that responsibility, we don't want somebody just calling their own insurance carrier and doing it that way, trying to do it that way, or paying it themselves and not know. We want people to be educated. Probably will be something going into sewer bill to give people that, when this is getting closer to starting, about what's going on and advise them to call the city if there's any issues.
And when they're doing the sewer lining, you get plenty of phone calls,
Yeah.
I don't refer them to Jake too often, but once in a while.
My last comment is looking at the agenda, I had planned on having an executive session, but it doesn't look like it made it onto the agenda.
Will be an opportunity at our next gathering.
Well, we will
Well-
have time to do it the next meeting.
I'll be in contact with the mayor and
Okay.
That's kind of unfortunate.
We have other things to get into. It does have a moment here for public comment. Any last thoughts? Okay. Other than that, it's been a interesting last couple of weeks with the budget. And Jim has done an excellent job getting us through to this. And he still has all of his hair too. So I was getting really proud of him. Any other issues?
Are we adjourning to adopt this thing, or how are we doing the adoption? How are we doing the adoption? We're going to adjourn this meeting and adopt it before the end of the month, or we're going to have a special meeting, or? Okay, I didn't know what you guys are planning. We need to have it done by the end of the month. 27th, you got a day? Okay.
Okay, without any further ado, I see a motion to adjourn from John Willie. seconded by Jamie Bradshaw. We are adjourned. Thank you.
I was gonna ask you,